What's up? This is Release Rotation. I am John W. Snyder. The Clippers announced a new arena in Inglewood tonight. And it looks amazing. It will be built on city land, but it will not be using taxes from the people. It will be privately funded. This is something I can get behind. And I guess when you have Steve Ballmer money, you can do this. If you want to take a look at it, you can probably go to NBA.com right now and see what it looks like, because I'm telling you, this thing is going to be ridiculous. Yeah, go to NBA.com. It's on the front page. And it's going to be insane. And it's going to put the Clippers ahead of the other teams, which I know pro sports are a little bit different than college, with the way facilities go and how facilities can draw athletes. I mean, with, the pros, it's just how the dominoes fall and how you get drafted or traded or whatever. It's not so much, with like college where you get recruited by however many schools and then you pick your school. So a lot of student athletes pick the schools. Obviously to pursue whatever future endeavors they have, but, the facilities too. I saw LSU. They have brand new facilities for their football team that I saw, and they look ridiculous. But this is going to be a game changer in the NBA. If you go to NBA.com and look at the pictures. And it's also going to be like an entertainment area too. Probably a lot like LA Live is now, but this will be just the Clippers. So they'll be moving out of Staples Center and into Inglewood. But not till 2024 is when they expect to open it. So we've got a few years, but wow. It is insane what it looks like. And Steve Ballmer's got the money to do it, so do it. It's going to create a ton of jobs. Construction jobs for one. And then, all the other jobs that are going to come with it. So I'm kind of reading through the article right now as I'm talking, but it says 10,000 construction jobs, and then after that, 1,500 permanent jobs. So there you go. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be great for the Clippers. They need to get out from the Lakers' shadow. I know they do, to keep on moving and having a chance. And so it's going to be incredible. The other thing too that I read earlier was that it's not going to have levels, like a lower level, middle level, and an upper level. It's just going to keep going, which I'm really interested to see what that's going to look like. It's going to be really interesting. And so this is huge for the Clippers. This is big for Inglewood. And so, the Clippers are doing the right things. And I have said it before, and I'll say it again. They're the organization that I would want to work for in LA right now. It's not the Lakers. That place seems like a mess still. They're trying to get some things figured out now that Magic's gone, but it still seems like a mess with the Lakers. But what the Clippers are doing and just the money they have, and, now they have Kawhi and Paul George. It's going to be interesting what the Clippers do over the next several years, but this will be huge for them to get out from the Lakers' shadow, to get their own arena. It's going to be awesome. And so just it's going to be cool. I can't wait to see the progress as they build it. And I'm sure I'll give you some updates on here as much as I can. So there you have it. That's what the Clippers are doing. So that'll be fun. And I'm still reeling over what's going on with the Thunder. Still not even sure. Chris Paul, I guess they couldn't trade him, so Chris Paul will be probably suiting up in a Thunder uniform. I saw him in some Thunder gear yesterday. He was working out and wearing some Thunder gear, shorts and a shirt. So he seems like he's all in. I hope he's all in. He needs to be all in. And I mean, he's competitive. He doesn't want to lose, So if Oklahoma City's all in with him, then he'll be all in with Oklahoma City. So that's what's going on with the Thunder. I still think we're looking at 5 to 10 years to even be a contender again. I mean, sure, they could make, the playoffs in the next 3 years, whatever, 4 years, but are they going to be a contender? Probably not. I mean, I would like to hope so, but who knows? And I mean, we'll find out, I guess, right? Time will tell, as they say. So I know this was really all I wanted to say. It's off season. There's not much to talk about with NBA. But those are two big things happening right now. So I just wanted to hit on those. But for real, go to NBA.com and read about the Clippers' new arena because it's going to be amazing. We'll be right back after this break. And we're back. So, if you listen to this podcast, you know how it goes. Talk a little sports, and then I'll talk a little bit of life stuff. So, let's get into the life stuff. So, obviously, I don't know who all my listeners are. I know some of you, so thank you. I don't know what most people do for work or for their jobs or for careers or for their incomes, but I do know there's a lot of things that we can kind of all relate to. And one of those is that no matter what kind of day you've had, no matter how many emails you've had or phone calls you've had or interactions you've had with customers, if you work in retail or sales, or something like that, or if, you work with students, if you're a teacher or if you're a coach, you're going to have however many interactions a day, right? So let's say you have 100 interactions a day with customers or parents or students. And let's say out of those 100, let's just use customers in sales, for instance. Out of those 100, one of those customers is the rudest person you've talked to. Maybe they're yelling at you or screaming at you about something that's out of your control. Or maybe it is in your control, but they're still just being ridiculous. One person out of the 100, right? And this could be, let's just say, somewhere in the middle, the 40th person that you have talked to. So you've had 39 amazing interactions. Then you have this interaction with some idiot. And then you have, another 60 or whatever interactions. And they're amazing. They go well, whatever it is. But I think for most of us, that one interaction, for the most part, we dwell on it. It can ruin the rest of our day. It's something that obviously is not fun. It's not something that we like to deal with or experience. And you get that one person who just is not cool. And maybe they're having a bad day. Maybe they are just like that with people. Maybe something happened. Maybe there is something behind why they're acting like that, and maybe not. But no matter what, it's up to us to how we're gonna respond to that or react to that. And we can dwell on it and let it ruin the rest of our day, or we can move on. And for me, it's not easy to move on, because if that's me and I have that interaction, I'm going to tell my coworkers, I'll come home and tell my wife about it. It's something that for me is really hard to move on and to get over. And I think that's a human being trait. I think it's probably hard for all of us to get over that one lousy customer, that one, teacher or student who decided to take it out on us today or whatever day it is. And so, easier said than done, right? To move on, to, forget about it. But that's definitely something that I want to work on, and something I want to get better at, is remembering those times versus the one customer, right? So you have the one customer who was a complete jerk, but then you have 99 customers who were awesome, super sweet, down to earth. It's maybe some of those customers you'd want to hang out with even, right? But those we forget about. The one we remember is the one who went off on us, who called us a name, who wanted to talk to a manager, whatever it might be. And so for me, I want to get better and better at remembering those 99 amazing interactions versus that one lousy interaction. And so that's a challenge I have for you as we go on in life and in your career, your job, whatever it might be, is how you're going to react and respond to that one person who treated you that way, who treated you badly, who yelled at you or whatever, versus, how are you going to respond to the 99, right? And so I just say all this because, it's a challenge for myself, but I also want it to be something that is a challenge for you too, is how do you move on? And for me, it's if something like that has happened, or, if you get an email and, stuff doesn't come across good on email, or if you have maybe you have to talk to your boss and it didn't go well, it's obviously you're going to learn from it, you're going to move on, but how can you change your mindset and think about the other amazing interactions you had and what you learned from those and the stories you heard? Like, how do you move on that way, And that's what I'm working on, is remembering those times versus the other horrible times, because let's be honest, it's really hard to do. And so I also say all that because, I use Anchor for my podcast, and not that I've had any, obviously people tell me that my podcast is horrible or whatever, but there are those times where I don't want to do my podcast, or I feel like a failure because it's been 6 months and I only have this amount of listeners, which I think that happens to all of us too. Like, we're afraid of failure. We don't want to suck at our job or the things we love to do. And, sometimes that gets in my head too. Like, no one's listening. I haven't taught anyone anything. I haven't, been able to help somebody. And that's really what I want to do with this podcast, is I want to help you. I don't want it to be about me. And I know that sounds funny when I'm the only one on it and I'm the only one talking, but it's true. And that's why, the whole gist of my podcast is telling the story behind the story of somebody else, to get their name known, to get their brand known. If it's not known, if it's small company or a startup or something like that. And that's really why I created this podcast. And that's really where I'm heading with it. But if you've been listening for a while, I haven't gotten there yet. And it's a process, it's a journey, and I'm still learning. And there's days where I get down and don't want to do it because I'm going to talk some more, blah, blah, blah. I wish, I had so-and-so on here with me to talk, and da-da-da-da. Maybe I should just not do my podcast. Maybe I should do it once every 2 weeks. Maybe I should do it once a month. Or the other side of it, I'm tired. I don't want to do it. But I know I have to keep going. And with Anchor, the platform I use, you can send in recordings or messages. And there's two messages I'm going to play right now. And this ties into the one, rude customer versus the 99. These two recordings are amazing though. And these two recordings are why I keep doing what I'm doing. And that's what I focus on is, are people listening? And am I connecting with people? And have I made an impact? Because that's what I want to do with this podcast. So yeah, I guess I'm kind of tooting my own horn a little bit, but it's just a great example of what happens when, you get those messages from people that tell you you're doing a great job, or you get that recognition. So here, let's listen to those real quick.
Hey, John W. Snyder, this is your buddy Joel. Hey, thanks so much for the shout out and the love for my new podcast that I'm starting this week. I did want to say to you and to your listeners that you personally have been a huge source of inspiration for me to get this project of mine started and off the ground and like over the starting line. My personality is kind of like ready, aim, keep aiming, and then fire maybe. And so you were a huge source of inspiration and just like that push that I needed to get this podcast off the ground. Thanks for your show. Release Rotation is awesome. I listen every single week. You're doing an amazing job. You're a very relatable guy, and you've got some inspiring words to share every week, which I love. So keep it going. Thanks for the love. Thanks for your friendship.
What's up, my friend? This is Daniel, your old buddy from Apple. Just wanted to congratulate you on your podcast. I just listened through it. I also just started playing with Anchor. I've done some recording on SoundCloud, so I'm just playing with Anchor as well. And it's kind of cool, especially this call-in feature. I think this is an awesome way to kind of add an extra social element to the audio experience. So yeah, buddy, just wanted to encourage you and to say you're doing really well. You've got a great sounding voice for podcasts, so go for it. Let's talk about your passions, create, and I'm going to be doing it right alongside you. Hope we can share the journey together. All right, my friend. Chat to you soon. Bye.
All right. So that first message was from one of my good friends, Joel. I talked about Joel last week. If you didn't listen to last week's podcast, I talked about Joel. He is starting a podcast called Craft Your Coffee, or Craft Your Own Coffee. And it's going to be all about coffee and how you can make delicious coffee at your house. And so he sent me that message last week, and it's just something I'm like, man, okay, got to keep going. Got to keep doing this. There's people listening. Maybe I'm making an impact. And so, here we go. And so I hope to have Joel on here soon. Because what his podcast is about, of crafting your own coffee, is amazing. It's a great niche. There's people who make coffee at home, and I am one of those. My wife calls me a coffee snob sometimes, and that's okay, because I like good coffee. And so the other message was from a guy I used to work with. His name's Daniel, and he's a public speaker. He has done some TED Talks, or he did one for sure I know of. His name is Daniel Midson Short. You can find him on Twitter, Instagram, all those fun places. But he has been a guy who I've looked up to because he, being a public speaker, is really awesome. And it really makes me want to keep talking and speaking. And so, the things he talks about are pretty fun. He's someone that I look up to because he's crafting, what he's passionate about. He's going after it, and he is working on his speaking and those kinds of things, speaking and writing for the most part. And he's also started a marketing agency here in Orange County called Shorthand Content Marketing. And so he's providing his talents. He'll help with websites, blogs, social media posts, whatever it is. But he definitely is an amazing speaker. And when I was working with him, I remember he went to this thing called Toastmasters, and I had never heard of it. Basically what it is a public speaking, I guess, experience. I don't know what you want to call it, but it's to get better at public speaking. And when I was working with him, he would go all the time, and I loved asking him about it and whatever. And he's actually won some awards lately for public speaking. And so, getting those two messages from two guys I would definitely consider friends, and two guys who are, going after something they're passionate about. Joel with his podcast of coffee, and then Daniel, starting a marketing agency called Shorthand Content Marketing. Getting those messages keeps me going. And so it makes me realize that's the kind of feedback and that's the kind of interactions I need to have with people too. Because you never know what people are going through, just like with me with this podcast and trying to figure things out. The other side too is I set a goal to have my website completed by the end of this month. And the end of this month is on, I think it's Tuesday or Wednesday of next week, the 31st. And I want to have my website up, and I've been working at it, and I get frustrated every day because I don't understand the website layouts. And I'm using Squarespace, which if you're listening and watching, you're not watching. If you're listening and you use Squarespace, you're probably laughing. It's actually really easy, dude. But I've been struggling through Squarespace trying to figure it out, and the pages and everything. And so, as that being and for me, that's that 1 in 100 negative customer or negative email or whatever it might be. But I know that I have to keep plugging along and keep going. And so Joel and Daniel, if you guys are still listening to this podcast, I appreciate it. I thank you so much for those messages. And I thank you for pushing me because, that's what it's about. It's pushing each other to be better and to continue to go after the things you're passionate about. This is Release Rotation. Thanks for listening. Have a good week.